question 36, and all the other ones have to be moved down one. What strange expression is used several times in our Maimer? Question mark. What does it mean literally, and how is it used contextually? Question mark. What strange expression is used several times in our Maimer? Question mark. What does it mean literally, and how is it used contextually? So that should be question 36, and then 36 should become 37, and 40 should become 41.
So can we just make this 41?
Yep, okay, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. What strange expression is used several times in a Maimer? Question mark. What does it mean literally, and what does it mean contextually? Question mark. Are we all ready? Are we ready to do this? Okay, so what's the answer to that question? What strange expression is used in our Maimer? What does it mean literally, and what does it mean contextually? What's the strange expression? Beli isarusad latata kla. There's no arousal from below at all. Now, what does that normally mean?
It doesn't come from you.
That the Eibush is doing everything. That the Eibush is doing everything. What does it mean here? That your Pinteliyid is doing everything.
Hashem provides the trigger, but in the end it's you.
Hashem gave you a Pinteleh. Again, I'm going to use really rough words. He broke off a piece of himself. Now, when you break the Eibishter in half, you have two Eibishters. Because you're talking about an Etzim. He put it into the neshama of every Yid. Now it's us. It's not him anymore. And when a Yid is nisoided, Yitaka, Beli Yisayidus, he calls it Beli Yisayidus Latata Klal. It's happening entirely from on high. But on high doesn't mean the Eibishter. On high means the Yid's own Pinteleh.
You said that Hashem provides the trigger for the Yechidah to be woken up.
No, Yitaka happens by itself. The trigger is darkness. The trigger is tzadis. The trigger is hardships.
Hashem provides
He provides the opposite of a trigger. He doesn't provide the impetus for the inspiration.
That is the trigger. The darkness and the stars are.
It's like saying that the third Beis Hamikdash was built when they destroyed the second one. It's a very indirect trigger. A trigger means an inspiration, which in Hebrew is Hisoidus, or a provision of strength, which is in Hebrew Nesinas Koyach, right?
The fact that Hashem provides the trigger is false.
Yeah, but the trigger is the opposite of the inspiration.
What? There's no inspiration.
Fakat, there's an inspiration in the other direction, but it's so painful that it triggers you.
So the inspiration is the trigger?
The neshama is triggering itself. Yitaka b'shefer gadol. That's the position of the Maimed.
So the stars are the inspiration.
Yeah. But they're an inspiration, not by being inspiration. They're inspiration by causing pain. And the pain moves you. Huh? We're good? I forgot to write that question. It's the most important question of all. Now, 36. Repeat again. What question do we have in Perek Zayin? The answer is we're contradicting ourselves. On the one hand, we say the whole idea is the Shefer Gadol Mashiach blows itself. On the other hand, we compare it to Tishrei, that we have bittul, and our bittul opens us up to the trigger. Remember that? Right, that was the question. Should I continue, or you want me to give you time to write?
Continue.
Well, good. 37. What is his answer? His answer basically is that since what you're doing is bittul, and bittul means basically that the person is no metzias, so you're not. Your bittul is not creating the shofar gadol. Your bittul is simply getting yourself out of the way, and the shofar gadol is sounding itself. Since the avoida that you're doing is bittul, bittul means I'm not. So therefore, when the shofar gadol is sounded as a result of the bittul, the shofar gadol is not attributed to my bittul; it's attributed to the Eibishter. Now, girls, I want to show you something, okay? Does everybody have your Maimon handy? Yeah? Turn to the last page. I want to show you the words, okay? Third line from the top of the page, okay? Third line from that, it's like this. Ela sheba'oivdim v'hanidachim kipshutam ha'mayla adavedas ha'adam hi la'achrei ha'gili l'shefer gadol. Okay? By a oived and a nidach, by a yid who's far away, first the shefer gadol sounds, and then he does work, okay? Look at the end of that line. Aval hamshachas ha'gili l'shefer gadol l'mitzad la'mayla. The shofar gadol comes milmayla. Now, girls, what does milmayla mean? What does milmayla mean? Milmayla means your yechida. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, so listen. He repeats again what he said way back, I don't know where, right? By oivdim v'nidachim kipshutam, the word comes after the shofar gadol. But the shofar gadol comes milmayla. But milmayla doesn't mean from the Eibishter. Milmayla means from the Eibishter in you. That's yitaka. You got it? Yes or no? Look at the next words. V'oid oifen b'yitaka b'shofar gadol. There's another way that the great shofar sounds. Shagam ha'shofar ha'shachas ha'gil the shofar gadol adei avoida. That's what the shofar gadol comes after avoida. That's what we're learning now. Bittul.
And in that, the shofar gadol itself is the main, because is there a avodah afterwards? It's not the same.
Oh, what the avodah afterwards, we'll worry about afterwards. What I want you to see is that the Rebbe is saying that there's two kinds of people. There's one kind of person who gets the shofar gadol because he did bittul, which compares it to Rosh Hashanah. The other kind of person gets shofar gadol and he didn't do bittul. He did nothing. And that's the Baal Tshuva, that's the Oived and the Nidach. You understand what I'm doing? I'm showing you that the Rebbe is actually giving us two possibilities. And they're both true. A Yid who's far away, where the Shofar Gadol Mashiach sounds, the Shofar Gadol Mashiach has his own Yechida. And it's called B'li Yisarus L'Tata. There's no avoida from his end at all. Where is it coming from? Only from the Eibishter. But what does the Eibishter mean? The Eibishter inside himself. His Yechida Shem Nefesh. You follow? If you don't follow, I'll repeat myself. Are we clear?
We understand.
Huh? I need everybody to be included in we. You getting it?
Yes.
What I'm trying to show you is that actually there's two types of shofar gadols. There's a shofar gadol for a Baal Tshuva and shofar gadol for a chassid. Shofar gadol for a chassid comes after bittul, which is what we're learning about now in Peirik Zayin. Shofar gadol for the Yid who is actually far away, over the Nidach, is exactly like we said before in the Maimon. By a Yid who's far away, the shofar gadol blows itself from the pain. It's very hard to call the pain a trigger. And the shofar gadol blows itself, it's called milmayla, from on high. But milmayla actually means our own yechida. You got it? There's another kind of Yid, who's from, who's Ella, who's a Beinani. Let's use that bad word, just for fun. He gets the Shefer Gadol after Bittul. What we're learning in Perek Zayin is that the Bittul and the Shefer Gadol are not a contradiction, because when you're Bittul, you're not a Matthias. That's for a Frum Yid. So the Rebbe is saying the Shefer Gadol Mashiach has two styles, two flavors. There's the Shefer Gadol Mashiach with the Oved V'nidach Kipshutei. You see the words?
Yes.
3 lines into the page, Oved V'nidach Kipshutei. Okay? Then you have another kind of Yid who's from, and he does tshuva. He has bittul, and then he's safer to the Shefer Gadol. They're both experiencing the Shefer Gadol, and in both cases, the Shefer Gadol is the Gili of Yechida. But one happens entirely from the Yechida, and the other one happens after bittul.
What if you're neither of them?
Then you don't exist. Huh? What will be the third category?
Because I don't think this bittul is attainable for us. How are we going to be so bittul that we don't, we're so nothing? How are we going to get there?
I should really not answer you. Not because I'm a mean guy, but because I don't got a good answer. Okay, but I created a whole narrative last week, and it bothered you. You were bothered by my narrative. Because I brought into the scheme the word shuffle. Right? What's shuffle? A person who's bittul is not the way it's supposed to be. It's low self-esteem. We're pretty good at that. We're pretty good at low self-esteem. I'm not saying honor, I'm saying shuffle. Why am I saying shuffle? Because the Rebbe's whole point is that here you go ahead and you do bittul, and the bittul is not even attributable to you. So the Shefer Gadol is still Yitaka. So if I'm right, okay, if, with a capital I and a capital F, okay, if I'm right, then you're wrong. The bittul we're not capable of is onof. The bittul of shuffle we're too capable for, unfortunately. You hear me?
Not really.
She wants to understand. You're supposed to say yes. You're supposed to, you know what student's job is? To make the teacher look good. You didn't know that? No, don't apologize. You're doing the right thing.
That's the teacher.
Okay, I get it. Okay, you're picking on me. Okay. Should I be flattered or insulted? Okay, let's leave it.
You don't think the true definition of shuffle we can't achieve? Like Rabnata? Like the true?
Because not
I
that.
don't think Rav Nosson was a shuffle. I really don't think so.
You're such an honor.
So I knew a Jew in our time. I mean, you guys are a little young. His name was Pinya Korf, Reb Pinya. Did I tell you about him?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
He was my mashpia in Alted, okay? The Pinya Korf was, first of all, he's a big Talmud Chacham. He was more learned than people realized. He was a serious chassid who served the Eibush every minute of his life. He's Mora Korf's husband, okay? Mora Korf in your generation, or you
Yeah.
you missed Mora. You got Mora Korf?
She talks
She talked for like 2 weeks in
But
ninth
just-
grade, and then she left.
me and...
No, it's not.
If you're a BRHS girl, you know who Mora Korf is. You don't have to learn in the class. She walks in the hallways now, even though she's not there. He's her husband. The Pinya Korf never told anybody no, ever. To me, in the area of Bittul Ayesh, in the idea that I don't exist, I never saw anybody like an opinion. If you ever went to an opinion in the middle of the afternoon on Wednesday, would you learn with me? He said, sure. He sat down and learned with you. Now, he learned with you for 5 minutes. He didn't learn with you for an hour, because he didn't have an hour. But he never told you no. Never told you no.
You could be so bittul and not be a shuffle of like low self-confidence, low
It's not, he
self-esteem.
wasn't there. These people were low self-confidence.
A little bit. He said self-esteem. I don't think that's.
Well, these people probably didn't care. It's actually yes.
I can't argue with you. I don't want to argue with you.
So, well, what do you think? Why would you?
I think there's another chassid, a big chassid, who you will go over to him and say, would you learn with me? And he'll say, I would love to learn with you, but I don't have time. Does that make him a yesh?
No.
That means that he has a mission, he has a shlichus. And the mission says, right now, I can't learn with you. Yeah. Then you have another chassid. We were in yeshiva. Bachim love to verbringen, you know? They love to verbringen. Why? It's religion and you're wasting time, you're staying up late. All the 3 favorite things for teenagers. And if he used to go past 12 o'clock, he could come late to Chassidus the next day. He always finished at 11:55. He had to come on time to Chassidus. He was very religious about that opinion. So they were how often do you verbringen in yeshiva? How often do you verbringen? If you live at the Bachim, twice a week. They'll create Yom Tevim, everyone took a Donnerstag. But down hall, they don't want to verbringen. Why? Because they actually have lives. You know, they're married, they have children. Some of them actually have other jobs. So, one would do the Mashpiyim verbringen. Das Kislev was a verbringen. Das Chedish Kislev was a verbringen. Ich weiß was, Yud Shvat was a verbringen. But then you have the little Yom Tovs, you know, like Zayin Cheshvan, like Chav Cheshvan, like, I don't know what. Every day, Chassidim of Yom Tevim every other day, yeah? So you would go over to the big Mashpiyim, the great Fabrenges, and say, nah, Thursday night they verbringen every week, but in the middle of the week. So you went to Pinya. Now you didn't go to Pinya first, you know why? Because his Fabrenges were boring. He didn't get drunk. He spoke substantive things, and he said the same things over and over again. He said the same things over. Pinya spoke about life. He was a real person. But he never told us no. Never told us no. So, okay, you want to argue about the words. I needed to make a point, so I used the word shuffle, okay? Shuffle with an asterisk, okay?
How did it make a point? What point did it make?
Because there's a very big difference between Sinetoken ich oise man shliches und man shliches is a Sinetoken ich. You speak Yiddish. The difference in a person saying is, I don't exist, but I have a mission. And I have to my mission. Now you come over to me and give me a different mission, say, sorry, I got a different mission. What about a person whose mission it is that I don't have an existence? So if you want to learn now, let's learn. You want to verbringen now, let's verbringen. You don't want to call shuffle, don't call shuffle. I think it's more than enough. It's not enough. You know, Moshe Rabbeinu knew his midas. I don't think Reb Natala knew his midas. Now Moshe Rabbeinu, huh? Right, never met him. But the way he's described, if you don't want to say it's negative shifra, say it's like I said, shifras with an asterisk. But the point is, there's some people who are so bottled that the bittul doesn't translate into an avoida. Their avoida is bittul. I never saw another person like an opinion curve. Never. In this idea that whatever happened, he just went with the wind.
So we could take the word self-esteem out of it? Low self-esteem?
Take the word out of it. So
now
I just said it because she said that we can't do this bittul, and I said we could. And I used the example of low self-esteem because in that area we have a milo over another, but fine. So for you, it's low self-esteem. For you, it's the greatest self-esteem in the world.
Does the low self-esteem also bother her?
Can we go back to the Mamish? Okay, forget self-esteem. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay.
Take it away. That was good.
What is the story that I told you to illustrate this? The story with Reb Natala. Reb Natala Mimalas Tritzniya. I can't pronounce it either. He was a rav of a community. He was a big Talmud Chacham. But he was a Chabad Chosed of the old school. And he was so bottled, completely bottled. So he came to the Tzemach Tzedek, like all the Rabbanim did for Shavuos, like I explained to you last week. And he was sitting at what was called the Nigletish.
They said two stories.
What was the second story?
The one they asked him, they said only Reb Nathan the last thing in the basement.
Oh, fine, that's a secondary story. And there was a Nigletish. The Milcha Kamil, they didn't wash, they ate Mazenis. And the Tzemach Tzedek used to speak in Indian in Nigla. That was the Seder. The Frierdiker Baraita took less than an hour. It wasn't very long. Tzemach Tzedek took a glass and filled it with every alcohol on the table, made a noxious drink. It was poison. And they gave it to one of his children to drink. And of course they all watched him fill the glass. I'm repeating, this is the answer to question 38. So he said, I can't drink it. He had another one, I can't drink it. He offered this up to Chassidim. So finally the Tzemach Tzedek says, Git is noted. Not is ayin. Ayin is neisei havchim. Give it to notim. He's sitting at the end of the table. Ayin, not as ayin. Ayin can tolerate contradictions. So they sent the cup to the end of the table and they told the Rebbe Nata that the Rebbe said to drink it.
Can you say the English phrase again?
Git is noten. Give it to Nata. Nata is ayin. Ayin is noisei havchim. Noisei is nun vav sin aleph. And havchim is hey, fei, chav, yud, mem. So they brought the drink down to Nata, and they told him the Rebbe said to drink it, so he knocked it down. I don't know what he did afterwards, but he drank it. So then later, you heard what the Rebbe said about you. The Rebbe said that you're a very high madrega avayin. And his reaction, which was mamish guttural right away, was garnished, or betake garnished. You're right, the Rebbe said I'm nothing. But not nothing in the fancy way that you mean it. Nothing! I'm using that as Machon. I'm using the Isis of Shuffle, because it helps understand. You don't want to use the Isis of Shuffle, fine. I mean, if you have a better way of explaining the Maimon. A Shuffle means, in the Maimon, they bring the Lashon, a scoop on it, you could step on him. Did I mention the Melech last week or not? Today's Achei Temimim, yeah? So 4 days ago was Chaf Aleph Adar. Chaf Aleph Adar is the yahrzeit of Rabbi Melech Melezhensky. You heard of Rabbi Melech Melezhensky? Rabbi Yossi Melech Melezhensky. Did I tell you the story or not?
Yeah.
Huh? A misnagid, it was a big lamb, was given a copy of the Sefer Noam Elimelech. He was a real misnagid. He hated Chassidim. But he had this book, one of the first Chassidish Sfarim ever published with the Sefer Noam Elimelech. So we had a limping table. We had a table that the legs were not straight. So he put underneath the shorter leg the book Noam Elimelech so that the table was steadied. And he kept it there. This was his support at the foot of his table. The Alter Rebbe came through this person's town, and he was a big lamb. And the Alter Rebbe had great respect for lamdim. So somehow the Alter Rebbe ended up in his house, and he said to the Alter Rebbe, I got this book. I don't know who this guy is, but I'm using it to support the leg of my table. What can you tell me about him? So the Alter Rebbe said, if you would put him under the leg of the table, he'd be as quiet as his sefer is. Is that Shiflas or Anivas, young lady? Shiflas or Anivas, what's that? It's crazy. It's not normal. If you would put him under the leg of that table, he'd be as quiet as his sefer is. It's a book, it's a demon. It's not regular Anivas. What I'm trying to do is explain how the Rebbe could say that when you're doing bittul, it's still considered yitaka b'shofar gadol. The shofar, the tshuva is coming from itself, because the bittul is not the trigger for the shofar gadol. The bittul means I don't exist, and the shofar gadol is happening by itself. So I need to find form. You want to pick on shiftless. I don't got a better way to explain it.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Let's finish the questions, then you ask me a question, okay? So that's the story. Then, of course, I told you the second story, how that... He was a Rebbe. He was teaching... He wasn't teaching Reb Nata, he was teaching the younger light, He says no one can sleep in Beis Medrash except Reb Nata. Reb Nata rolls in, and he goes to sleep. He walked for weeks. He walked to Lubavitch. So they wake him up, and they said, Bestu Nata? He says, no. I wasn't lying. He wasn't Nata, he was nothing. So he said, the Rebbe goes up to Matan Shlaf in the shul. He said, nothing. No one can sleep in the shul. Anyway, they physically pushed, they schlepped him. He was an older man. They threw him away. He was a chassid in the middle of Rebbe. This is by the time they did Tzemach Tzedek. They bached him, graced him, kushorim, They kicked him out, and he slept on the steps. In the morning, they found out that they just beat up and kicked out the one person that the Rebbe said they should leave his shul. Because no, he's not nothing. Who was he? He's nothing. That's the story. Okay, question 39. What is the difference between an onav and a shafal? An onav means a person who knows his milas. And he knows his place. He knows his milas and he knows his place. He says, if somebody else had my mouth, he'd be better than me. No, he doesn't attribute his mouth to himself. But an onav knows his place. You go to an onav and say, take out the garbage. He says, I'm sorry, I'm doing tasteless. It doesn't make him about gaiva, it just makes him have a different shlichus. A shafal, the Maimonim bring the expression, a doormat, that's a shafal. You can step on him. He's not tefes makom at all. So it's not considered a pnimis de kavadas Hashem, but it is a madrega bittul. And I am using shafal to illustrate what the Rebbe is saying here in this Peidik Zayin, that it could be that before the Shofar Gadol is your bittul, and even if before the Shofar Gadol is your bittul, the Shofar Gadol is still called sounding itself. Yitaka, because your bittul is not the source of the Shofar Gadol, the bittul makes it you don't exist. And the Shofar Gadol is still considered by itself. That's what I explained to you. Do you understand? Young lady in the second row, do you understand? Yeah, you with me? You with me? Talk to them. You understand? Yeah? Now, last question. How did I explain the idea being discussed here using shafel as a model? Because the shafel is a person whose bittul is not a madrege. His bittul is amtakagonished. And when your bittul is not a madrege, when your bittul is yatakagonished, after the bittul there is no you. And if after the bittul there's no you, when you have a seder as tshuva, that came from beli isarus and latata klal, it came from yechid shebenefesh. Now let me be clear, the Rebbe doesn't say this, okay? Questions 38, 39, and 40, or 40, 41, 39, 40, 41, as I'm going to fix them, are not in the Maimed. I think it's pshat in Maimed, but they're not in the Maimed. So you don't have to like my pshat at all, you really don't. You can hate my pshat, you can even hate me. You have to just like the Maimed. But as I showed you in the beginning of today's class, we're actually going to we have until what time? 25. Anti-Semitism. I have 6 minutes left. I'm going to sue Chafayad. Don't mess with the Rebbe. Don't mess with the Rebbe. It's okay. We'll do whatever we have to. I showed you in the beginning of today's class that there were actually 2 models of Shefer Gadol, right? There's the Shefer Gadol where the Avodah that comes after. That's the typical Baal Tshuva. And there's the Shefer Gadol where the bittul comes first, but because it's an Avodah bittul, the Shefer Gadol is still considered sounding itself. Do you have any questions or comments? Go ahead, you have something to say.
Yeah. The question is, what does this mean to us? Like, yeah, I don't think, personally, we're not on the level of getting to shuffle. Like, besides arguing about the semantics of shuffle and enough, what are we supposed to do?
I have that terrible distinction. It's really a terrible distinction. It's called a mashpia. And people are in touch with me. People talk to me. I don't talk to everybody because I tell people I don't have time. I'm not a shuffle. I really don't have time. But for my students, I have time. If you're a student of mine from years ago, I will make time for you. I mean, the girls also reach out to me, and I owe a girl a phone call, actually two girls phone calls, which is an aved. A girl calls about a personal thing, I should respond right away. But sometimes they ask very hard questions, and I'm also extremely busy, and I don't have a secretary. But a guy has a conversation with me yesterday. A student of mine, very close to me, the whole 9 yards. And he's struggling with one of his children, okay? So he says to me, on his own, I don't think there was ever a generation where parents sacrificed so much for their children. That they have to suffer changing themselves and changing their homes. And he used the word humiliate themselves to save their children. He said this to me. Then later that day, I had a conversation with another parent who said more or less the same thing. But the first guy is a Talmud Chacham, is Nebuchadnezzar. So he says to me, this is maybe what it says in the Maimorim, that Moshe saw our generation and he was humbled by us. Maybe it's this. You know, somebody asked me why so many people go off the derech, and I answered in a Q&A, and don't ask what happened. I made enemies out of people that I respect an awful lot. A girl in Sem, the Q&A that I do here, the boys and the girls, I never post online. But I decided to do it. So one of the girls asked me, why is there an increase of the derech? And I said, there isn't. 100 years ago, more people were going fry. But there's more people going to derech today than they were going to derech 50 years ago. You know why? Because 50 years ago in America, the only people who were from were very, very from people. If you weren't really dedicated, you just dropped the whole thing. Today, the from community has reached critical mass. You're from because you live in a from community. In other words, there are more from people today who are from by association than they were 50 years ago. If you were from, in my parents' generation, you chose it because it was a hard life with a lot of sacrifice. Today it's a wonderful life. So when you live in a community where everybody's from, you're from too. Some of the from people never really thought about it. It's just, so if you're the child of a parent who's, Chabad light, in one way or another, the chances of you being from are less because your parents don't take it seriously. And 50 years ago, there was no such thing as a from child whose parents didn't take it very seriously, because in America, when the Friedrich got here, America was a place, the only people who stayed from were people who were ready to be based on nefesh. So this is what I said, as the from community grows, you have more and more people who are from that are more casual about it, and their kids they're even more casual. But then I added, we're doing a better job. We're doing a better job. All of these efforts to keep our kids, even when they drop out, we don't kick them out of the house, and we don't call them shkotzim. We're doing a better job than ever. Really, we are doing a better job. And sof kol sof, parents who are not idiots, and a lot of parents are. Forgive me for saying that, or don't forgive. It's a fact of life. Parents who are not, but the Eibush gives them a test with one of their kids, and they loosen the string, and they don't get angry, and they don't get out of the house. They're going to get their kids back. Can't promise they're going to be chassidim, but they'll be alive. They won't be dead. Okay, and they're going to be normal. They're not going to be drug addicts, and maybe they'll even have a family, maybe they'll even have children, and maybe they'll even be from. That came from a lot of sacrifice. That sacrifice is so humiliating. Because you have a way of, you want to live a certain life. And now you got to do cool stuff because you have children who need you to do cool stuff, okay? So I'm asking you, is that anivus or is that shiftless? You don't have to answer.
It's a whole different.
You see the difference between the person who's an onav and he serves the Eibishter and a person who's an onav and gives up his service to the Eibishter. You see the difference? So I'm trying to paint this kind of a picture. That we're dealing with a bittul which is beyond bittul inside the box. I use the word shafal. Now you're saying we don't know how to do this? I think we're doing it every day. It's a generational thing. I think we're doing it every day. Every time a Chassidish couple does something most hard Chassidish because they need to do it for one of their children or for their people in their Beis Chabad. That is real bittul. Because they're not giving up pizza, they're giving up their neshama. They're giving up, on some level, their way of life. This is what I need to do now, this is what I'm going to do now. Conversation over.
Do you have an example?
I just gave you one.
No, what kind of sacrifice?
I have to be careful because people confide in me, and if I say something, a guy says to me that one of his kids is not through, and he's a very nervous, uptight guy. He acts so silly with her. He gives up a lot and hangs out with this kid because this is what she needs. Now he's doing the right thing, and she's very lucky because there are a lot of parents who don't do it. They can't, and the kid and the children, they feel this so. What's the right word? Disenfranchised. They feel so pushed out, and then you lose them, and then you eat your heart out. There's 1,000 parents doing that today in America and even in Israel, where people are much more religious. That is a bittul. It's not am batel at Eibishter, it's am not. And I'm using that as a mashal. It's only a mashal to explain how a person could achieve the Shefer Gadol Mashiach, and it came after bittul, but the bittul is not the trigger. Because the nature of the bittul is so self-effacing. The nature of the bittul is so bittelnik. To quote Reb Nathalie, take gornisht. Take gornisht. You follow? I know how to do that too. Yeah? Abyssal? Nimnoshk, a little bit. You speak Russian, huh?
No French.
Just speak Russian. We're out of time, people, and we learned exactly nothing. And Pesach.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this a tenth as much as I do, you're enjoying these classes.